Coach, obviously, team had a long marathon. What was your message to them after the game, and then what have you seen them kind of take care of the last couple of days before coming back to practice today?
Well, they rested for 2 days and didn't see much of them yesterday. Uh, I told them after the game that this will be a very, I've really never seen a game like this, to be honest with you. But it'll be a really good learning moment for them that they lost the momentum. They had a lead, lost the momentum, had to fight back to get the momentum, go to overtime, go to a second overtime, two rain delays, and be able to come back out and win the game. I think this will be, a very good teaching moment in how to winning exposes itself. You grab it, and we did that Saturday. So to their credit, that's awesome. We just don't want to get ourselves in the spot. We've done it twice now, and we got to play better in the fourth quarter, particularly on defense. And we're looking at red zone defense. I see it better, and some things offensively. We're working on some things to improve on, and that's what we did today. And it was a workman-like day. So team listened, and they worked hard, and I think this will pay off for them down the road. If you recall the year in 2014, we had some really bizarre endings in that season as well. And had to pull a couple games out of our hat, which we did, and we're able to, have a really good season. And because each year, a team has to learn how to win. It's because we got guys back from last year. This team has to learn how to win, and they have to learn how to win when things aren't going well and you're not playing well. You still have to figure out a way to win. And we, to our credit of our players, they did that. So that's probably the biggest thing coming out of this game was, hey, we won the game, and that's excellent. We found a way to win when things were going bad. It was really kind of snowballing on us, and momentum and all that was not with us there for a while, and we're still able to pull that win out. And good teams win when they don't play well. It's not a good team. And I didn't say we didn't play well the whole game, because offensively we played pretty well most of the game. Turned the ball over though, which is not what we do. Penalties continue to bite us, particularly on defense. Those are things we have to get fixed, and you can't protect the football. So those are things that we will continue to work on. And but like I said, if you're a good team, if you can win when you're not playing well. So there you go.
Questions?
Coach, what was the mentality like when you went into the locker room? Not for the first one, but for the second lightning delay.
Angst, anger, just frustration. I can't believe we did this to ourselves. That kind of thing. Can't believe we did this to ourselves. That game was headed to 24-0 going into the half, and it turned out to be 17-17 going into the last quarter, and it turned into to an absolute mess in overtime. So, but we, that's, it is what it is. We had to, our kids were frustrated, but they reset their jaw. They're smart guys, and they know they can win the game still. The game's not over. That's not okay. That's nothing we can do about that now. Let's move on to the future, which is this coming next time we go on the field. We got to go out and win the game, and this is how we're going to do it. So, and that's what they did. To their credit, they set their jaw and they went out and played and were able to pull out a win. So, I thought the attitude was good. Yeah, there was no issues, no crying, screaming, throwing things, having a hissy fit. It's just, I say, you're grown men. This is what you put yourself in this position. Now get yourself out of it. Let's go win. That's what they did. So to their credit.
Heading into a bye week with the game coming up that you have with North Dakota State, what does that do for you having an extra week of preparation?
Well, it's good from a health standpoint. You know, you guys feel a little bit better after coming off a bye. If you're playing really, really well, you probably don't want to bye. You know, you'd like to keep playing. But a bye is never really a bad thing because it really helps everybody. But if you're playing really well, I don't think you want to have a bye. We had a bye last year. I think we were playing really good at that time, but we came back and handled that real well and came back and played and won. It obviously helps. You know, that'll help us reset ourselves. You know, we're watching a lot of our what we call self-scout stuff. You know, we're watching our own offense, our own defense, and our own special teams, and just looking at things that are coming up that we gotta make it better. You know, those things will, you know, the situational stuff will come up and be able to, it'll be obvious, you know, when you have a cut up of it. So that's what we're doing right now and trying to fix a few things to make it better. So it comes at a good time, in my opinion. I think this is the best time. The whole league's like that because only 3 teams are playing this week and 2 of them are playing each other. So there's only 2 games this weekend. So everybody has the same, but we all know this is the best week to have it, you know, right before the Valley season starts. But you know, it doesn't always fall
I
out.
always thought too, you could start losing fundamentals a little bit at this time. It's always good to go back and
Correct.
get good fundamentally sound again with.
Right.
I know defensive guys, it was always that way.
Well, it is. Yeah, everybody. You know, it's everybody. You know, we were in the shoots today as an offensive line, which we usually do, but we spent a lot of time in there. You know, pad leverage, pad level. You know, that's things we have to get better at, and offensively. So there's a lot of little things you can get better at, and we will emphasize. You know, coaches will emphasize something a little different every day to try to check boxes and get those things. Get to back where you want them. So it's a good question. Very good. Yeah. You know, we're coaches, we're perfectionists. You know, we think we left a lot of points out there, you know, and had one taken off the board, you know, and with a penalty, which is, you know, you can't do. So I just I think our team expects more of themselves, I think. I really do. I don't you could tell they weren't really happy with themselves. I say, hey fellas, this is hard to do. You know, take a deep breath. You know, you're not you know, there's a lot of battles that come down to the end, and now you learned how to win a game when you weren't playing great in the end, you know. And offensively, we played pretty well down the stretch, and we were able to. And that's 2 weeks in a row we've done that. That's awesome.
You've had a lot of those since you've been here.
Oh yeah, we've had a ton of them. Yeah, a lot of them. What's that? Yeah, we usually do that, but you know, we have good kids. They're tough, and you know, we train them hard, and got a good strength program, and that always came down to conditioning that game, you know. So it was all good.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about what the thought process was like going for 2 at the end of the game instead of kicking that extra point?
You had to. Second overtime, you have to go for 2. Just so you know. A lot of people ask me that question because you have no choice. You can't kick extra point. You got to go for 2. The new rule is you have to go for 2. So it's what they're trying to do is what happened there. They're trying to get it to have an ending. You know, and we've had these 4 and 5 and 7 overtime games. You know, first of all, it's not healthy for the players. Second of all, the fans got come on, let's go. You know, let's have a winner. You know, so that's what they do. So we have no choice. I wish I'd tell you, oh yeah, I did that. No, you have to do that. That's the rules. It's a newer rule. So second overtime, you gotta go for 2. And then the third one, you go for 2-point plays. So that would have been the next phase. So, but a good question. I know where you're going with it. It's too bad you couldn't because that makes me look better, but that's not true. No, can't do that. It's the rule.
The fumble with Tony when he's throwing how could a ball go 15 yards forward and say it was a fumble? From up above it looked like a forward pass. After you watch the film, his second.
Yeah, I mean the one that came out of his hand. I don't know. They didn't look at that play. It came back. I didn't see the. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And the the holding call. I took the touchdown off the board. The official that called it was in the middle of the field. It was, if there was any grab, it was the left hand. It was very, very little. And but it was, I could, yeah, okay, totally. But these guys didn't call it. This guy, there's two guys here didn't call it. There's one guy back there didn't call it, but he called it. Well, he had more than that, but that's okay. But I mean, I just think the angle he didn't have the angle the other guys had. They didn't call it. So you think, and down there, you think it'd be raining flags.
Yeah.
Because all your eyes are on that perimeter blocking there. But, hey, this is another thing we had to overcome. It is what it is. They just, they're human too. It's just,
One thing I'd like to mention, I've been in a lot of games of overtime, and every time the team that's ahead will come out flat. Because it's like in their mind, the game's over. You know what I mean? That they're ahead, they're gonna win the game, they got the game won. You had 2 minutes to go, and you came out flat.
Mean the drain
Rain
delay?
delay. On the rain
Rain
delay.
delay?
Yeah, with 2 minutes to go,
Right.
your guys come out, and there was a whole hum.
You always got to get over this 2 minutes and get to another break
Yeah.
and then start over again.
Never fails, every time.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yes.
Yeah, I've not been in that situation, but you're right. And then you come back out, and you come back, and now we start the second half. And it was weird, just strange. Then we had a break. At that. I mean, just. And I tell you, after the first rain delay, when we came back, I was really stunned how many of our fans, stayed. I mean, I really appreciate that. That was awesome. No, I get it. I get after the second one. It was, we've had enough. We got to go home. Yeah, give me a call. Let me know how it went. but yeah, I get it. But I don't know how long that game went forever, didn't it? From noon to 5, almost 6 hours. Yeah. Pre-game and all that stuff. Yeah, it was a long day. We were worried about? I tell you what we were worried about. Didn't think about it. Having food in the locker room, because it was approaching 5 o'clock, and they hadn't eaten since 8 a.m. And you think, God, I didn't think about that. And then we go get power bars and all that, But I guess, but yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's think about that. They hadn't eaten for almost a whole day.
See, now the guys know the adversity the media faces in long games.
Guys, you got zero adversity. You should come up on the side of the mic. We'll listen to your. No, you said this. No, tell me why you said this. Okay. No, just kidding.
Your guys have faced the last 2 games. Compared to last year, do you think that better positions you to go for the North Dakota State game looming? Because last year against North Dakota State, you were hanging with them. But things started to unravel a little bit at the end of the first half, and then it just snowballed on you in that second.
Well, when you know that you've come back and you were up and you come back and you get bad things happen. Usually in a game like that, those 2 games there's a good chance you'll lose them. An average team, a bad team will lose them. A really good team will find a way to calibrate, restart, and go back and get it back. And that's what they did. It wasn't pretty. I get it, and I agree with you. I mean, there's nothing. I know we know you're not dumb either. You know that hey, that wasn't great. But what was good about it is that we grabbed, we set the bar, the standard to go back and outplay them to win whatever last plays over there to win the game, and that's what happened. So I think you're right. Like I said, you have to learn how to win every year, even though you've done it before. But it's been a year, or it's been 2 years, and now you go back out there. Okay, this is how you win a game like this. This is what it feels like, and you really have to dig down deep. Like you just said, you have to dig down deep. We can't let this get too far away because the team is too good. We got to keep competing. And I think we did the same thing against Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I watched their game last night against Auburn. It was a great football game, but they're really good. And they gave up 10 or 11. They got 10 or 11 sacks on Auburn. We didn't do that against us. They had 2. So you start thinking, well, that's I know it's first game and all, but that's pretty good. And we outrushed them, and so I kept thinking, well, we can run the ball when we have to, And so I think that would give you some confidence and that you can do those things in crunch time. And I told them that's the first thing I said in the locker room. You're going to be in other games like this, and it probably won't be this bizarre, but it'll be tight, and you got to come down to the last possession, the last play, the last few plays, and you got to come up with a play to win the game. And we had opportunities to win the game and didn't do it. We in regulation and we didn't do it. So we had to go to overtime to figure it out, and looks like we figured it out a little bit. At least we know we can do that. So.
It was pretty neat, Coach. On Wake's 38-yard run, Mike and I were talking about it today. All 3 of your wide receivers got key blocks on that run. He would not have 38 yards. It went for a couple of those little guys down there making damn good blocks. And Dan too, Dan made a good block.
Big plays. There come great effort from other people, and sometimes a great pass or you don't see a block that was made up front or late or the back scanning protection all of a sudden sees a late blitzer and blocks and throws his body on somebody. Allow the quarterback get rid of the ball. It's just seconds away, and big plays are done by everybody on the field, and that's especially runs. Runs. It takes everybody. These guys can really run in the secondary. Everybody can. Guys that play in the secondary all can run in Division I. Yeah, they have some speed, but everybody does. You're Division I. You find guys who can run, and everybody can run in the secondary. And when you score touchdowns, that means you got bodies on bodies, or color on color with jersey on jersey, So that's important. So yeah, glad you pointed that out. Very cool. Anything else? Is that it? All right. Thank you.